you two are getting rough. My mind just sounds like Shia LaBeouf. It says no, 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 no. Just no, 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 no.
Hi there. My fingers have been itching to make an altered book junk journal for myself, and I thought I'd just take you along to see my process. I know there are so many tutorials out there for making an altered book junk journal, and obviously this is not the only way to do it. Everybody has their own way, but I just thought I would take you along to see the way I make mine. And this whole process took maybe 1.5 hours, so really quick, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I can't wait to start working in it. So here I just took out the inside of the book pages, with a Stanley knife, and now I'm just going to clean up the edges a bit with my scissors. And next I wanted to cover that spine. A lot of times I will enforce the spine as well, but since the spine wasn't so wide and it was just for myself, I just really wanted a quick little book. So I decided to just tape over the spine with some very strong, this is kind of like a bookbinding tape. If you can't find something like this, I got this from my local craft store, but if you can't find something like this, then I think you can just as well use this like wide packing tape, or they have this other tape, I don't know what it's called. They have really nice prints on them nowadays. They're about the same width and they stick really well. I just like this one because it's white, and I like it's so strong, and it's it also doesn't have a glossy top, so I like that it's matte. And usually I would actually cover it up with some designer paper, but in this case I actually didn't mind leaving the spine white like that, especially because of the paper I chose for the inside cover just worked nicely with the white. So here I just measured what size I need the inside cover to be, and just cut that out twice the same size, just checking that it really fits. And now I am of course distressing the edges with my Ranger Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo. And then I'm going to glue those down with some Tombow Glue Stick Professional. Now I bought this locally from a bookbinding workshop that I attended to a few months ago, and it works really well. Like, it's a really strong glue, so it's perfect for something like this. I'm assuming you could get it on Amazon. Honestly, I have not checked, but be sure you take the professional one, because I had a smaller one which was the regular Tombow, and honestly it dried up within no time. Before I even had a chance to use it, I just threw the whole thing out, which was a bummer because these things are not cheap. But this one, I must say, I'm very happy with. So I can recommend it. So now I'm just writing down the measurements of the inside cover, and they're actually irrelevant for you because each book is going to be different, so there's no point in noting those. So now I am just tearing down papers and choosing papers that I would like to be in this junk journal, and I forwarded this process really quickly because I figure it's boring to just watch me tear and fold papers. So yeah, so just hang in there. It'll just be a couple minutes and then you'll see the next part. as you see, I'm making 2 signatures. Maybe I should have mentioned that at the beginning. And I didn't want to make it too bulky because I knew I was going to be adding a lot of stuff later when I'm actually working in it. So I didn't want to bulk it up just yet, because I know they tend to get bulky really quickly. So I don't have actually a rule of thumb of how many pages I'm adding. I'm just kind of winging it, and then later you'll see I'll just check how it looks in the book and how thick it's actually getting. So almost done. Some more children's book pages, and a lot of these book pages are German because I live in Vienna, Austria, so most of the things I get at the flea market are actually in German, which is okay. I'll be covering up a lot of that anyway. Now I'm just adding some coffee dyed paper as well. These are some copies of Edith Holden book pages that I got from Amazon in German for some reason. I didn't realize that actually when I ordered it. These are copies of some other vintage books. And lastly, I wanted to add this doily from Johanna Klau. She has amazing doily printables in her Etsy shop, and excuse me, I had to include one of those. I will link her in this description box below so you can find her. She also has fantastic videos. So now I checked and I kind of like the thickness of those signatures. So then the next step was to make a little template for the spine so that I know where I need to make the holes so that both signatures would be equal, and so that I would do the holes spread evenly in the spine. So now I have one of these rulers where you have the 0 in the middle to center it. Of course you don't have to have that to make this, but it does make your life a bit easier. So I just checked where the middle was, both lengthwise and in the width, and then just went out halfway from the center on each side to get my signatures even. So I'm doing a 3-hole binding, and here you can see where the X's are. I'm going to make the holes with my awl. So that's what I'm doing right here. So first I'm just making small holes from the front to the back. And yeah, now I'm just putting top on that little template so I know which way is up. That is relevant for making then your signatures equal. And now I'm just going through it from the back side all the way to make the holes a little bigger. And now I am just sorting my first signature so that the pages are positioned the way I want it to be. Some will be in the center, some will be farther up, some farther down. And once I have positioned those the way I like, I'm going to thread my needle with some waxed thread, which I actually got from AliExpress. I don't think it necessarily needs to be a waxed thread, to be honest. I've made plenty of books with regular threads, so it's just because I have it. And now I'm taking approximately 2.5 times the length of the book and cutting that thread and threading it through a needle. And now I'm gonna start by going from the inside out through the middle hole, pulling that through, going through the bottom hole. You can also go through the top hole, it doesn't matter. Then thread back in, then back out through the top hole. Make sure it's tight, and then back in through the middle hole. So now you have both ends in the middle, which I'm just going to tie around the thread that's going from the top to the bottom. Make sure one end is on each side of that thread, and just tying that off with a triple knot, making sure it's nice and tight, and then just cutting off the ends. And now I'm doing exactly the same thing for the second signature. So again, I'm placing the papers how I want them to be positioned. Now taking my template, making sure the holes are in the same place as the first signature. Measuring the thread again 2.5 times, cutting it, threading it through the needle, and again going through the middle hole from the inside to the outside, then going to the bottom from the outside inside, then back up to the top hole from the inside back outside. And lastly, back into the middle from the outside inside, where I again have both threads that I'm going to tie around that thread and make a triple knot. Then I'm just gonna cut the long string off, and that's it. Now I'm just going through to see if I'm happy. So there's the middle, and I think the thickness is just right. The book actually still stays closed on its own, and I know it's gonna get bulky, so I think what I'm gonna end up doing later on is putting 2 holes, like one through the front, one through the back, putting an eyelet in and threading some sari silk through it to tie it shut. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gave you some insight of how I do my books. Thanks you so much for watching. Bye bye.